This is part 2 of the open letter to Donald J. Trump, continuing from part 1, which we went over yesterday. Part 1 of this letter, I explained that attacking Syria was immoral and potentially disastrous for humanity and all life on Earth, but I shouldn't have to explain that. It's obvious to anyone who honestly looks at it. It's also illegal to attack a country without any reason to do that, and it was all under false pretenses. So now, having clarified that, which actually is quite obvious, I want to tell you what would be better, what any real advisor should be telling you. Number 1, of course, apologize to the people of Syria, the people of Russia, the people of America, that you're supposed to be representing in their best interests, not using our money to go start wars, blow up countries in the world that have done nothing to the United States. So I want to tell you what would be better. Apologizing first, publicly acknowledging that the chemical attacks were false flags, not staged by Assad. He would obviously not do that to bring on the attacks of the US and other countries like France and Israel and the UK. That would never be done. He has never been shown to attack his own people with any of these chemical attacks. They've always been done by US-backed terrorists. And you know that, sir, or at least you used to know that. You talked in your campaign about, excuse me, about staying out of Syria. You were the only anti-war candidate on both sides, both parties. All the other Republicans and Hillary wanted to bomb or shoot down the Russian planes and start World War III. You were the only one who showed sanity in the whole group. Don't throw it away now. Putin and his allies in Russia want an alliance with the US. They have from the beginning and have been trying to talk to you. You should have met with them on day 1 after getting into office, but you could still do that. They're doing very good things in Russia. Getting the wireless out of the schools, banning GMOs, wanting to be the biggest organic farming exporter on the planet. You need to appreciate and work with them and invite others to do the same thing, all from sovereign status, independent countries cooperating together, not giving in to some kind of supranational government to put them all under tyranny, obviously. So you need to expose the deep state for real. Talk directly to the people. You need a strategy to make it safe, or at least more likely to succeed, to really expose all of the deep state and not become one of them. Probably the most immediate thing that has to be done, or one of the most immediate, I guess, which would also take the place of real welfare without stealing it from tax money, is shut down the Federal Reserve, which has been siphoning off most of the wealth of the country for 100 and some years. As central banks are doing the same thing in other countries. I think people have told you this, and you need to pay attention to it. The Federal Reserve is where most of the wealth of the country is going. It needs to be stopped. Kennedy knew this, but the same thing does not have to happen when you expose it. And that's mainly with massive public communication directly to the people, which any good advisor has been suggesting that you do since the beginning. You need to phase out chemical agriculture, not just GMOs. It's a disaster for the planet. I know, I've been involved in agriculture since the mid-60s, and the whole idea of needing to put chemical fertilizers on the land, a la Justus von Liebig, the German chemist who really got it going. It's been a scam from the beginning, so, like so many other things. You've also got to end the stranglehold monopoly of the drug medicine cartel, the medical industry that's killing over 1 million Americans a year. That's pretty important stuff, and it's ruining the life quality of just about all the rest of us, getting us addicted to multiple medical drugs. I'm sure most of the people listening to this can identify with that, and they know that they're very damaging. You need to expose the availability of free and clean energy generation technologies, which have been available for at least 100 years. but violently suppressed in our country with many examples. Nuclear power is guaranteed to be a planetary disaster, obviously. Anybody can see that. And we need to phase out the other ones that aren't clean because they're not needed. There's no need for austerity or for people to tighten their belts to save the earth or any of that nonsense. They just need to switch how we're doing things, switch our energy sources, which are available. Check out the work of Dr. Stephen Greer. If you want some of the details on that, it's available now. You need to expose and stop geoengineering, the toxic spraying that's going on over our heads. Like I talk about chemical weapons, these are being used in collusion with our own government against its own people right now. So, that's an obvious example. We don't want to have China or some other country come in here and start blowing up facilities because this is going on, but it's really going on. With the collusion of the US government, we're being sprayed with toxic chemicals every day, and that's got to stop. We need to hardwire the whole country. Most of the infrastructure is already in and available for that. Stop the 5G now. That's like a chemical attack, but with weaponized frequency. You need to stop all forms of GMO. That's so obvious. They shouldn't be allowed on the planet anywhere. Not the plant GMOs, the animal GMOs, the microorganism GMOs. It's all extremely deadly to humanity and other life forms. You need to follow through with exposing the fraud of vaccination. And no, I'm not pro-vaccination. It's been a fraud since Jenner started it in about 1799 in the UK. And it still is. It's been killing people even since before the adjuvants were even added to it. And yeah, I know it's politically incorrect to talk about this, but it's time to acknowledge the truth while we still have a planet and a biosphere. And teach people how to create real immunity, not the vaccination fraud. And you need to expose and stop the fraud of Agenda 21 in all of its different ramifications under the different names. Protect private property rights. Stop local and state governments from switching all of the property out of private ownership and taking away people's rights to use their own property as they want to, as long as it's not damaging to their neighbors and the earth, which doesn't have to be at all. That's an attack on our freedom that you need to stop. You got a lot of work to do here. We need to expose fully the criminal media and their corporate owners. You've started to do that, which I really commend you for, but you need to take it all the way and tell the whole story, not through press conferences, but direct to the public that you're supposed to be serving. You can do it successfully, all this urgent work that you have to do. It doesn't have to end up like Kennedy's attempt. John Kennedy tried to shut down the Federal Reserve and some of these other things, although he wasn't faced with the wireless and the GMOs. But you can do it in a safe way with a strategy that is secure, going direct to the public, opening up the whole thing at once, keeping yourself protected while you do it. Forget all about the parties and the labels like liberal and conservative and even libertarian. As soon as you have a label to defend, your vision is limited. So throw those away. Democrat, Republican, these are just criminal organizations that we don't need. They're distractions from the truth. Then you would start making America truly great and draining the swamp, which is, as you know now, a lot deeper than you originally thought. Firing missiles at sovereign countries, risking global death. I hope you haven't become totally compromised and taken over, sir. It doesn't look good from your latest actions and from your latest threats of more such actions, claiming through yourself and Nikki Haley and others that the next false flag will be immediately blamed on Assad, just like this one was, falsely. False accusation is not a good thing to get involved in. And we have so much positive work to do, starting right now, that I've outlined just a little bit of here. It's up to you, sir. You've been given this chance. Please don't throw it away.